Hey everybody, what's going on? Welcome back to Calgary Barbell for another episode of the infamous, or famous maybe, not quite sure, Form Check Friday. And this is the series where we take your user submitted videos, viewer submitted videos anyways, and we throw them up on the screen behind me. We try to give you guys some hints, some tips, and some ways to try to make your lifting a little bit more efficient, so ideally you can lift more weight. Now, if you're interested in being chosen for Form Check Friday, the best way to submit your video is to just go ahead and send in a video to formcheckfriday@gmail.com. That is the only address we'll be accepting submissions from. If you've submitted once, then you're in the lottery. We don't clear these emails. It's a little bit different than what we do on our live stream, and if you like this style of content, go ahead and tune into our live stream every Wednesday and Friday or thereabouts at twitch.tv/Calgary Barbell. Without any further ado, we're going to get right to it here. So our first submission comes from Dean. Now, Dean is, I believe, doing some squats here. Let's take a quick look. Let's see what's going on with Dean. All right. So Dean's doing some squats here, and what do you guys think? I think that perhaps maybe a little bit loose in the bottom, fighting to stay a little bit too upright, getting a bit pushed forward out of the hole. So let's take a nice in-depth look here. So we get to about here, and then the tempo really speeds up on the eccentric. So like the tempo, and then we really kind of drop into the bottom. Now, if you watch his upper back just as he comes up out of the bottom position, we'll see sort of the bar roll up and forward just a little bit. So let's see if we can catch that right there. So you see that bar kind of roll up his back, the shoulders shrug up a little bit, the elbows come up behind him. So I would work on that as a start. Try to maintain a little bit better tension in the upper back out of the hole, as well as smooth that eccentric out so you're not dropping quite so forcefully into the bottom. The third rep was actually probably best in terms of the tempo, but we're still seeing that upper back collapse just a little bit. One thing I'd recommend you try is a little bit of a lower bar position. I know that's probably something that I say a lot and something that I recommend to a lot of people, but generally speaking, more often than not, we're gonna get a little bit more weight on the bar out of using a low bar position. And honestly, yeah, that's what we're here for, right? Is to try to get more weight on the bar. So that is gonna be my recommendation for you there, Dean. Hopefully that helps you out, my man. Whoops. Best of luck with that. Next up, we have Elliston Liang. Now, Elliston, looks like we're doing some deadlifts. Let's check it out. All right, Elliston, let's see what's going on here, my man. This looks a lot like a gym I used to train in at my university. All right, so pretty kind of classic over exaggeration of a lot of the sumo cues that we see and hear out there. So a lot of people think that the more upright you can get, the better. So it's all about being upright as opposed to having a little bit more of a steep torso angle, a little bit less steep torso angle. And what I'm gonna recommend is exactly that, because in this position we can see not only is the back and sort of pelvis kind of rounding under you, but the knees are way far forward. So if we watch, once he starts to pull right here, he's trying to stay as upright and forward as we can, but the bar doesn't come off the floor until we get closer to here. So pretty big shift in position. Also, we're gonna have a really hard time creating any tension in this position, other than maybe here in the sort of low back. So my big recommendation for you, Elliston, bring those knees back, let that butt up behind you a little bit, try to get a little bit more extension, and start from a position of tension. What we wanna do is we wanna maybe start with our hips way up here. As we pull down, stop the knees a little bit further back behind the bar, or not behind the bar, but a little bit further back than this. So if we get them to move from, say, this line to the other line that I drew, that might be good. And then we're going to pull the rest of the trunk in, try to pull a little bit of extension, focus on getting those shoulder blades down, which it looks like you're actually doing a decent job of, but we don't need to be that upright. It's just not gonna work for you, my man. So leave those knees back, leave those hips higher, straighten that back angle out a little bit, and I think your sumo deadlift will progress in leaps and bounds. All right, our next one comes from Philip. He put his name in there as Philip. So it says this is the heaviest he's lifted before, the heaviest before this was 185 kilos. So he said his back was rounding a bit when he has the narrow stance in the video, but he also feels a lot more powerful as opposed to going wider. Do I think he should just bite the bullet and drop weight going wide, or something else? He's 193 centimeters tall and not very mobile, so there are several things to pick on, he figures. Shameless brag, by the way, but my first deadlift at the end of November last year was where my max was 130 kilos. So he's had a lot of progress, but he hasn't found a technique that suits him best. All right, Philip from Norway. Thanks for tuning in from Norway, Philip. Let's take a look. Yeah, I think we've looked at Philip's lifts before, either on a live stream or on a form check. So I just think there's a real lack of tension here. So I think the stance width is totally fine. I think we need to focus on trying to maybe push the knees out just a little bit. We need to focus on pulling the lats down into your back, and I know those arrows go up, but that's just sort of the orientation. I can't draw in 3D, but basically get those shoulders down your back like you're pinching your armpits shut really hard, and try to get a little bit more extension out of the bar. Really try to create more tension before you start the pull. Pull yourself into the bar. We're starting with the hips high like this. The first thing I want you to do is pull the back tight. Create tension through the back. Pull those shoulder blades down your back this way, and then start to sink your hips. And only sink your hips as low as you can get them without compromising this back angle. The way it is now, we're just kind of sitting down and then really kind of yanking into it, and then we hitch it at the top. So this right here, where it stops and then there's that jerking motion, you're gonna get called for downward motion on the bar, and that's not gonna be competition legal. Now it looks like you're definitely probably a pretty strong guy. I think that there is a fair bit of tweaking we could do to get this technique better. So weight probably could go on the heels a little more. Back position definitely needs work. And let's try to push those knees out a little bit so we can get into a good position in terms of what the pelvis is doing there. We might just be kind of running the trunk into the quads, which is what it looks like in here, right? So that would be the majority of my recommendations and sort of the first few things to think about. So hopefully that helps you, Philip. Like I said, I think that you're probably a pretty strong dude and can probably pull some serious weight. Just work on that technique a wee bit, and I think you'll see some progress. Next up, we have a video from Kirk. He says he wants to perform or compete in powerlifting in a couple months. He has smaller hands, which makes it tough to hook grip. Do you think he can practice, or should he stick to mixed grip? Shout out from Philly. What's up, Philly? And let's take a look at Kirk's video here. All right, so a little bit blown out, a little bit overexposed in terms of video quality. I also think this is speeded up for sure, or sped up rather, I guess would be the proper way to say that. All right, so I think definitely you could learn hook grip. I think regardless of your hand size, you can learn hook grip. It just might be more limiting for you having smaller hands. Your deadlift sort of basics look pretty good. We've got the house built here, as Bryce Lewis likes to talk about it. Nice stacked joints. I think the toe angle might be a little bit extreme. We could probably get a little more balance if we brought the toe angle in just a little bit more. And the lift itself looks like we're having to pull through a fair bit of back extension as we get up to the top here. So right here, I can almost guarantee you we've lost position in that low back. So a little bit more focus on extension, a little bit more focus on keeping more extension, keeping tighter off the floor. We're also shrugging up as you get through the lockout, really trying to roll those shoulders. Try to keep those shoulders down. Pull those shoulders down your back. Try to pinch the lats shut. Like imagine I'm drawing like a piece of paper under each of your lats. And now imagine that you need to hold it there the whole time through the lift. If you shrug up and roll your shoulders, that paper is going to fall. So you need to pinch those armpits shut, pull them down your back, and try to make your lats as big and as tight as you can. That's how we're going to help brace that back. All told, pretty good. It's tough to tell when it's sped up like this, but we're doing a good job of tension off the floor, a little bit of patience off the floor. And then we have some pull-ups that we're probably not going to look at, but yeah, that would be my biggest thing there. Is for now, stick to mixed grip if it's comfortable for you. Work on back position and potentially reduce that toe angle just a little bit. Again, just some things to try. A lot of what we're going to go over here on Form Check Friday is not definitive, absolute advice. It's my attempt to guide you through the progress of trial and error, rather, that technique adjustment is. Technique adjustment is trial and error. So the better you can kind of work with what you can see, what you can figure out about your technique, ideally the quicker you're going to get to that sort of end goal of, sort of cultivating a very efficient technique. Hopefully that made sense. All right, our last one here comes from Alejandro. He says he really enjoys our videos. Was wondering if we could critique his deadlift. Of course we can, man. He doesn't compete, doesn't plan on it anytime soon, but he likes the sport recreationally. He's aware that the reps shouldn't be touch and go, but due to the shape of the plates, hex plates, they are the devil, the dead stop would place him out of position. So he said he gets no pain anywhere, but believes he should be stronger in this lift. Let's take a look from the start here. So a little bit of a preamble. So now it looks like back position is actually really good. Patience and sort of pushing off the floor, also really good. We're just gonna manipulate this the way I want to. There we go. So we're pulling in, good back angle, really pushing off the floor, not getting too far out over the bar. Lockouts might be a little bit shy. I'd probably pull those shoulders through a little bit more. And again, not pull the shoulders through per se, but rather extend the trunk more. We're here, I'd rather see us here, if that makes sense. Yes, touch and go. We're also getting a little bit on the toes on some of these reps when we're touching at the bottom. Let's see here. As he sets this first one down, we're kind of way out onto the toes. So we could probably get a little more tension through the heels. I think one of the reasons that you're not stronger at this might be programming. It might be the fact that you have to touch and go things. And it might just be the fact that you need to just put a little bit more weight on the bar. My apologies if you can hear my dog grumbling next to me. I think that means it's time for the end of Form Check Friday. So again, if anybody is interested in submitting for Form Check Friday, please go ahead and submit to formcheckfriday@gmail.com. We use a random number generator, sort of lottery system to draw things. And that's going to be it for today. So thanks for tuning in. Like I said, if you like this style of content, head over to twitch.tv/Calgary Barbell, and we'll see you on the live stream. Take care, everybody.